Hello, now to post this link. Just checking to see if this works. I'm still very new to this. Oh, okay. My browser's gone. Oh, I wonder how to. Okay, well, I hope this works. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. This is the Jupyter Hub repo Docker GitHub action, which was set up by I think Hamal Hussein. I hope I'm getting his name right, pronouncing his name right. And it's really fun. It's really quite nice. The 2i2c org has been using it quite a bit now. Oh, I love tea. But and I've been trying to add more features. I added a feature for tests the other day, and then I realized, oh, I should live stream that. But I want to add more features. I mean, we still want it to be doing only one thing and do it well, but you want to be able to add a little bit more features. And if you look at this pull request, that added this feature of adding images to test, you can see that, like there was a bunch of bash that I added to the code. Um, and really, I am writing bash in a string inside bash, uh, which is, I don't know. I find just personally difficult to work with complex bash files, and I think a lot of times they should really be just converted to Python. And it'll also have a lot of other benefits, like you can test it better, both locally and remotely. And I think the pool of people who can work with slightly complex Python files is actually larger than the people who can work with slightly complex Bash files. So I have no idea if this is still working, but only one says it's finished. I don't know what that means. This is ended 4 minutes ago. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. But this is, I mean, let me check on my phone. I am still, I mean, it feels like, this is 2002 and we should have streaming figured out a little bit better than we have now, but clearly we do not have it figured out better than we have now. Okay, I can check on my phone. That's right. Okay, so uh, I know that this PR has not been merged yet. But I want this feature in my port as well. So I'm going to just start by checking out that branch and make a new branch. So before we go through and do this, I just wanted to oh my God, my CPU is lagging so much. I need a new machine maybe. Anyway, let's just not get into that. I'm just going to be mad. I'm not going to go too deep into so repo2docker-action is a GitHub action that lets you use the wonderful repo2docker project to build images from your GitHub repositories and push them to somewhere public, which is pretty great and awesome. Um, and a lot of it is written in Bash. which I think is also pretty cool. Um, but like, let me, oh, I'm a bit of a mess today, but that's all right. You know, the world is in a messy place. So there is a file called create Docker image, which actually does most of the work in the action. And when I'm gonna port, I am basically gonna try and port this bash file. I'm not gonna try and add any new features. I am just going to literally try and port it line by line-ish, as much as possible to Python, but then also make it so that it's cleaned up primarily in a way that makes it easier to test. So, but before that, let's just go through and understand what it's doing, right? Like, because I think, before you can really port something, you need to have, like, I can't just go through it line by line, right? Like, because I want to understand what's it doing. And I've done this before, I understand what this is doing, but I want to just go through it again just for the stream. So, this colon syntax is just it's just what is useful for like GitHub Actions. It like uh, uh, does some fun formatting based on that. This is a function that I think so. GitHub Actions gives you so you can specify input parameters in your repository, and then they are passed on to the action as environment variables. So anytime you see an environment variable that is input underscore something, it's so there is a YAML file here called action.yaml that lists all the inputs that as a user of the GitHub action you can set, and all of these are passed down to this bash setup as environment variables. So, those are all input underscore name of the function. So we are mostly really reading a lot of these input files and then deciding what to do with them, input variables and deciding what to do with them. So, it's like, oh, there's an appendix file, which is, just a bunch of Docker file instructions you want to put at the end of your like generated built Docker image with repo Docker, you can put that in. And if you need to log in, right, and like to Docker Hub if you want to push, but only if you want to push, right? Um, and then it's just then it's generating the name of the image based on whether you specifically set it, or it's just auto generating it from the name of the repository, and then lowercasing this. Like, look at this. This is like the kind of stuff that I mean, I can imagine from the comment that this comma makes the string lowercase, but I mean, I don't think that really increases the amount of people who can contribute to this, right? I think it's pretty cool, but I think once things get complex, it's like, yeah. So anyway, then we're saying the default username if it's set, like setting a bunch of other things. Um, SHA is just setting the local username, and like, see, this is just this gets the cut gets like the does some string manipulation, gets the first 12 characters. Uh, and then we're just displaying all of the input output variables that we depend on. And then if pushing is not set, then all of these are executed, right? And uh, if pushing is not set, then no push. So if we are pushing, in fact, then a bunch of these is done. If pushing not set, then this is done. Like, this is, I mean, I think we could make this slightly better in Python, maybe. Um, and this is the features I added yesterday, just the ability to add image tests. And then there's all of this binder functionality that, this actually creates, and pushes a commit to the repository itself that makes it faster for the thing to launch and binder. Um, But anyway, let's get going. I think I'm gonna so I switch to a branch. I'm gonna call this uh, that one was called what? Create Docker image. I'm just gonna call this build Docker image.py. My God, the CPU usage is gonna kill me. let me just post the link here. And also, I must say that before I started doing this, I have talked to, I think this was almost a year ago, where I did have, I think, a conversation with the primary maintainer, Hamel, um, that it's all right to port this into Python if I think that's better for maintainability long term. I hope I'm remembering that right, because I think it's often bad form to like show up and then just refactor someone else's code without asking them first. So anyway, this has been in Python 3. Um, and so, uh, here, if you look at the code, we are actually calling out to a bunch of, we are actually reading like a lot of inputs that are coming from environment variables. And so I think it would be nice to, so that would be from OS because it's all environment variables. And I'm just going to define a couple of helpful functions here. My God, look at how much lag there is. OBS, let's see if there's a way to make this better. Properties, I mean, no way for me to make this better, right? Okay, it's like using two cores. I can really hear it. It's maybe fucked up my browser. Ah, I do really need a computer. Okay. So, oh my God, this is impossible. Get input. Okay. Oh, why does Visual Studio default to spaces? Tabs for indent for me. I don't know what the fuck, but just gonna go to that. Oh, and input variable. You say none if input variable is not present. OS dot and input name, right? Okay. Now let's see. I'm gonna try. So a bunch of this is just you know parsing, or a lot of this, in fact, is actually just parsing the input variables, and then um, or some of this is just parsing input variables and then doing things with them. But okay, so how do I do this? Um, okay, so let's just go through and def main. Oh my God, I hit command enter instead of just enter. And let's say figure out parameters or something. Okay, parse inputs. Right. Okay. Uh, if get input appendix file. None. Okay. Now, this let's come to later. Let's perform an action, right? Why don't I reduce the font size and then just split screen this? Look at this. I'm waiting like 30 seconds for this. I really maybe need a new computer. When I was doing this with Zoom, it was definitely working better. Uh, uh, but let's see. Now, build container image. Okay, just visible for you all. The next is sign button never right, but that's okay. Okay, so let's just appendix is list of. I'm gonna try and comment this as we go along for myself and for other people too. Is arbitrary Docker file syntax that is run by repo2docker. The end of the build process, users can specify the name of a file used to uh, that contains the appendix. They do. We read it to pass it on to repo later. Okay. Now let's see. Repo name is os.enron GitHub repository. The split. Right. Yeah, that's just the last. It's just last. And then what else? Let's determine name of the image to be built. If get input image name equals to get input image name. But if it is not specified, we need to determine it. If get input Docker username is none, image name equals to f os.enron GitHub actor. I think GitHub actor is the name of the repo. Name of the org, maybe. This could be probably something that we can determine from the repo name itself, but either way, doesn't matter. Repo name, else image name equals to f get input docker username. My God, look at how much lag there is. Slash repo name, and then of course need to lowercase this image name dot lower, and if there is a Docker image registry specified, we need to append the image. We need to put that in front of the image as well. Get input Docker registry image name equals to f get get input Docker registry slash image name. This means that the Docker registry shouldn't have a trailing slash. That might be something we can be able to fix later, but that's all right. I'm going to put this to lower at the very end so that we can handle Docker image registries also having. And see, this is like, I'm like, this is a functional difference a little bit, but I think it's all right. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, more so than usual. Looking at Slack. I mean, I'm going to close Slack because my computer clearly cannot handle this. It fucking sucks. He's distracted. Mm. This is okay. Now we are determining the name of the notebook user. This is usually Jovian, but let's see. Let me try and decode this. If um, if if notebook user is set, or if we are using binder, because in both those cases you cannot actually decide, you cannot actually set the name of the user. It's always going to be Jovian. Right? I hate this. What software, what hardware gives software takes it? This is like an 8-core machine. So let me just try to get this logic straight. So if this is get user, get input, notebook user, if not, right? Yeah, because that's important, right? There's a dash z, which is to see if it is a zero value thing. Then, yeah, okay. If notebook user is not specified, or we are default to token. This is like SSH levels of, I mean, this is like not even SSH, this is like fucking telnet levels of, this is like telnet levels of interactivity. Mhm. Okay, next. We, there is a temptation that, because so much of this is really setting defaults that we can have a mechanism for where we just plug into the get input function and have a mechanism for determining defaults and callbacks. But I think that's unnecessarily complex for the amount of work that we have here, and this is just as funny. If get input, report there. It is quite nice. I mean, this is, I think, one of the uses of me using Vim key bindings here is that even with all the lag, I am actually able to do, I feel like reasonably for the most part, exactly what it is I want to do. So get input, I mean, as I said, of course, home, notebook, user. Let's see if I can actually do this. Yeah, reasonably well. Okay. And then, the last of this, which is the SHA. This is what's used as the tag. Go to os dot and GitHub SHA. And then I think this is just 12. And then SHA name, which I think is full GitHub image. I would like maybe use a different name, but this is the name there is, and I'll continue to use that. Is image name colon SHA. Perfect. Okay, great, right? So, uh, Now let's make a dictionary of all variables, right? Let's see. Docker registry. Why am I doing this? Because I want to be able to write functions that will do these functionality without like because environment variables are really super global variables, right? They are just ugh, fuck, I'm sleepy. They're just everywhere, and I think you don't. It's harder to test. Like, a script. Well, like I feel like here, if I do this right, I can actually write PyTests. You know, that just determine what it is that I'm doing. So, uh, brain not worky. It's all right. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I don't need to actually. This I think is important where we show all the variables. But I will do that. I think later. Maybe no. Let's just do it now. Okay. Variables equals to right is Docker registry. Get input Docker registry. Okay. Additional tag. My God, is there something else I can do here? Of course, there's call task. Fucking call task. I'm gonna close Slack. Not that it was functional. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause and then um, eat something because I'm hungry.